My colleague Gaurav Sawant has travelled to the line of control and the international boundary in Jammu and Kashmir. And just a moment from now, we'll be going across live to Gaurav, because the reports that we are getting on the newsroom are that 120 mm heavy mortar firing is being reported from the Pakistani side. Indians living along the border are being badly impacted. They're being forced to take shelter way before the boundary line. Now the question is, why just days before Pakistan's NSA comes to India is Pakistan increasing the tempo of hostilities to such a great extent? My colleague Gaurav Sawant files this exclusive report for India Today Television.
Hostilities at line of control continue to escalate. Pakistan troops opening firing at 6 Indian posts in 12 hours. India Today travelled to the villages which are bearing the brunt of the deadly flare-up along the line of control. With Pakistan resorting to heavy shelling and firing, the residents are living in constant state of fear.
अंदर से अलमारियां, खिड़कियां, दरवाजे तोड़ फोड़, सुराखें बन गई हैं, शीटें तबाह हो गई हैं, घर बसने के लिए नहीं रहा है।
पूरे मकान की तबाही कर दी। जो रेक्स हैं हमारे, उनमें कपड़े थे, बिस्तर थे, सब कुछ की बर्बाद हो गए। बच्चों को शिफ्ट कर दिया पुंछ में।
तो सर यहाँ हमें बहुत मुश्किलात हो रहा है सर, क्या ऐसा हमें लग रहा है कि हमारा जीना बहुत मुश्किल हो चुका है यहाँ पर।
And even as Indian Army has retaliated with equal measure, Pakistan has continued to breach ceasefire at multiple locations.
Firing practically taking place 24/7 in this sector, even as we speak, an effort to dominate the LC. And if we just walk around, there is information that the terrorists are trying to infiltrate at this point of time, and these soldiers are firing in that direction. And
the Pakistanis
And with no end to Pakistan's firing, Indian government sending out a terse message.
वहाँ के जो जवान हैं, चाहे वो आर्मी के हो, चाहे हमारे बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के हो, वो पूरी तरह से वो जवाब देते हैं और अच्छी तरह से देते हैं.
The rise in ceasefire violations indicating the worsening of ties between both the countries ahead of the NSA level talks scheduled to be held next week. With Gaurav Sawant in Delhi and Ashwini Kumar in Jammu, Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to go across live to my colleague Gaurav Sawant. He's reporting tonight and he spent the day at the Hamirpur sector along the line of control. Gaurav, you've been to the line of control dozens of times. Describe to our viewers what you saw today and how this compares with the relative calm that we've seen for the last several years. How was your day at the line of control?
Rahul, in several sectors there has been very heavy firing from the Pakistani side. Ceasefire violations which were relatively rare after the Ramzan ceasefire of 2003, especially south of Pir Panjal in 3 sectors, whether it's Poonch, Rajouri, Mendar, they lie shattered. Pakistan resorting to ceasefire violations and not just restricting to small arms fire or machine gun fire, but also escalating it to 120 mm mortars, which is a major escalation. This is an artillery piece that is being used, and very cleverly Pakistan is using 60 mm and 80 mm along with 120 mm in between, which is a heavier caliber weapon which is being used to inflict maximum damage even on civilians. And in the Poonch sector, several schools unfortunately have now shut down indefinitely before the NSA level talks, because on the street the fear is every time there are talks between India and Pakistan, Rahul, Pakistan resorts to either terror or ceasefire violation. And that is why Pakistan is resorting to massive ceasefire violations at this point of time.
Stay with me for a moment, Gaurav, because earlier this afternoon, Gaurav caught up with the co-commander of the 16 Corps, Lieutenant General Nimborkar. Let's listen to what the Army's general in charge of responding to Pakistan's escalations has to say. What's his assessment of the security scenario along the line of control? And if Pakistan is upping the ante, what could their rationale be? This is an India Today exclusive.
With me is Lieutenant General Rajendra Nimborkar, the White Knight Corps Commander General. Welcome on India Today. You've just visited the ceasefire violation spots in Poonch. What's the latest, sir?
I just come back, as you say, and I find that now the ceasefire violation which were started by the Pakistanis is now tapering down, is less as compared to what it was in the morning, and I think after some time it should stop.
Okay. Now, a series of ceasefire violations. On Independence Day, they targeted our civilians. They've killed 6 civilians. They've injured several even today. What is Pakistan's game plan? They're targeting our civilians?
We have seen on 15th of August they targeted our civilians. As you say, we had 6 fatal casualties of the civilians. So it is obvious that they do want to inflict some casualties and damage onto our civil population, which I feel that as a professional army, it is unethical, immoral and most unprofessional conduct.
So what they are doing is they are killing our civilians, they're targeting our posts. What you are doing is you are targeting those who are killing our civilians. But Pakistan has also been reporting some evacuation of their civilians.
You're absolutely right. As I said, we are a professional army. We don't believe in targeting the civilians. We target those who target us, and mainly our civilians and also our own posts. So therefore, deliberate destruction or causing damage to the civilians is not our forte. We don't do that. As far as rearward movement of their civilians is concerned, from some of our posts we have seen some of the civilians going back. As to the quantum, I am not fully aware as to how many are there. Probably in the open domain in the newspaper we can find as to how many people have moved back.
One is ceasefire violations, and many seem to indicate that Pakistan wants to shift focus to ceasefire violations because they don't want to talk about Naved, they don't want to talk about Gurdaspur. Your appreciation of what happened in Gurdaspur, what's happening in Udhampur, is this the changing face of terror in our country?
I won't say that. You see, if you again go back in the history, except for Gurdaspur, which in the Punjab province of ours has happened after a long time. But as far as J&K is concerned, this has been happening all through. If you go and analyze the action in the last decade, this has been happening on and off. As far as 16 Corps is concerned, south of Pir Panjal, this area has been free from terrorist activities for quite some time. So this is one which has occurred after a long time. I can say with confidence after a decade or so. But I can't say this is a changing face of terrorism.
Was the Army's Corps Commander, and Gaurav, one of the interesting things that your report mentions is that the level of weaponry that's being used includes heavy mortars. Now that's just one stop short of using artillery, which hasn't really happened since the Kargil war. Now, how much do Army officers on the ground see Pakistan escalating this too? Because there's very little difference between very heavy mortar firing and light artillery fire in terms of the damage that they can do when you up the hostilities so much. What is Pakistan trying to achieve, and what do they see happen over the next couple of days, because the NSA level talks are scheduled for 23rd and 24th?
Rahul, you've covered Pakistan ceasefire violations along the line of control very extensively. After Kargil, till the Ramzan ceasefire of 2003, there was tremendous escalation. But since Pakistan then was focusing on its northwest frontier province, Pakistan sued for peace, it sought peace. Now Pakistan is once again trying to shift focus back to the south of Pir Panjal and to the Punjab-Jammu border. That is what the army appreciates. That is the intelligence appreciation, that ceasefire violations will only intensify in the next several days before the National Security Advisor talks on 23rd and 24th of August, which is also the appreciation of the civil administration here, which fears that the shelling will increase, and that is why they have advised parents that they should keep their children away from school. Several villagers have now moved away from villages to safer locations, and that is the big fear all along the Poonch, Rajouri, Mender belt, that shelling will only intensify in the days to come. But the Corps Commander has assured me that Indian response is punitive.
Okay, India is responding firmly, but the reality is Pakistan continues to provoke. Just days ahead of the NSA level dialogue. Gaurav Sawant for joining us tonight. Thank you very much, Gaurav. We'll continue reporting from different sectors of the LOC all through the day tomorrow as well, right here on India Today. Let's now get you all the other big national news headlines that have made it to the newsroom tonight. First Lady Suva Mukherjee passed away this morning at 10:51 a.m. President Pranab Mukherjee's wife, who remained hospitalized for 11 days, breathed her last at the Army Research and Referral Hospital in New Delhi. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina will attend the funeral. Joint Commissioner of the Delhi Police Mukesh Meena apologized to Army veterans for the crackdown against one rank, one pension protesters at Jantar Mantar last weekend. Meena clarified that the police action was a result of a misunderstanding. After Rahul Gandhi, Smriti Irani will visit Amethi on the 23rd of this month. Smriti has got insurance cover for women in Rahul Gandhi's constituency. She will visit Amethi to hand over the insurance policies. In a big relief to construction projects around the Okla Bird Sanctuary in the National Capital Region, the National Grain Tribunal has confirmed that the eco-sensitive zone will be restricted now only up to 100 meters, reducing it from the earlier limit of 10 kilometers. The decision gives a big boost to real estate companies and buyers who invested in properties in Noida and Greater Noida. In a bizarre case, a parrot accused of hurling obscenities at a woman has been put behind bars in Maharashtra's Chandarpur district. This after a complaint against its owner that he had allegedly tutored his caged parrot to hurl abuses. The Prime Minister's office today intervened in the one rank, one pension face-off with veterans. Nipendra Mishra, Principal Secretary in the Prime Minister's office, took charge of discussions himself. He asked the protesters to call off their hunger strike. So far, the discussions don't seem to have reached any positive conclusion, with veterans holding firm and the Prime Minister's office continuing to remain under pressure. Here's more.
It was a poll promise which made him the hero among ex-servicemen. A year on, the pocket of support seems torn between reality and promise.
These are two very important arms of the government, the Defence and the Finance Ministry. Things are reportedly so ugly that sources tell us the Defence Minister threatened to quit if the OROP scheme was not implemented. We bring you the inside track on these developments.
Late last year, Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar said that one rank, one pension would cost the government a little over 8,200 crores. The move, he said, would benefit an estimated 2 million ex-servicemen and 6.45 lakh surviving spouses of military personnel. This spike in the annual pension bill has led to differences with the Finance Ministry, which has now reportedly turned down the Ministry of Defence's formula. The Finance Ministry is believed to have tossed the OROP ball into the court of the 7th Central Pay Commission, which will present its report to the government this October. Pressure on the government is increasing as it tries every possible attempt at damage control. Former service chiefs too have now joined in to mount an intensified protest, even as two ministries are now at a point of conflict. The irony that the government has 1.65 lakh crore to spare on poll-bound Bihar and not the promised 8,000 crore for its veterans is not lost on anyone. With Sandeep Punnitan, Bureau Report, India Today.
On the newsroom spotlight tonight, I want to go across now to General V.P. Malik, former Chief of the Indian Army Staff, a man who was handpicked to be the interlocutor between the Prime Minister's office and protesting ex-servicemen. General Malik, welcome to the newsroom. Now, the Prime Minister's office reached out to you, asking you to mediate in the back-channel talks between government and military veterans. Those talks collapsed very quickly. Can you give us the inside track on what went wrong and why your attempt at mediation fell flat, sir?
No, firstly, I don't think one can really say that I was chosen or special envoyer. It is not like that. I got a message from the Prime Minister's office to come and try and work out something between the government and the ex-servicemen. So please don't use the word the chosen man and all. I went there after speaking to General Satbir Singh and others who have been agitating whether I should come or not, and they said, yes, you come. That is how I went there. I was there on the 11th and 12th, and I acted as a go-between the two parties, the government as well as the ex-servicemen who are on agitation these days. And I tried to take one message to the other, and that carried on for about 2 days. And the second day I found that the gap, what the government was offering, was not acceptable to the ex-servicemen, because that the ex-servicemen felt that it is going away from the accepted definition.
So the biggest problem seems to be in figuring out where the one rank, one pension promise kicks in from. Will it be the 2011 formulation which the government is keen on, or the 2014 formula which the veterans insist the government has signed off on? Now, you're somebody who's looked at the case from both sides while you try to play mediator. What, according to you, is the way forward? Because the Babus seem to be unhappy with the 2014 formula. Veterans are rejecting outright the 2011 formulation. So, what do you think needs to be done to move forward?
Look, it's been going on for a very long time, you know, and it has almost become intractable these days. And then there are so many groups amongst the ex-servicemen also. But I think the biggest problem that we are facing today is that what is being offered by the government is not as per the definition that has been accepted, and that has also been accepted by the Defence Ministry at one time to the ex-servicemen. Now, therefore, if you don't follow that, the ex-servicemen are not prepared to change the definition. They are not wanting to make any deviation possible from that. So therefore, I suggest that I think it's not such a high figure that we are talking of in terms of money, and there are minor differences which can be resolved. In fact, we are capable of resolving that. Those can be tackled, but I think that the government should not change the definition which has already been accepted by everybody.
So you're someone who's commanded the Indian Army. You understand the psyche of the force. 10 former chiefs wrote a letter saying that this is impacting the fabric that holds the army together. This has potential to cause strain in military-civilian ties, also potentially between Jawans and their officers. How do you assess the fallout of OROP and the impact this is having on the army, sir?
Look, let's face it, that today the social media is so active. Everyone who is in uniform, he knows what is happening. All kinds of comments are being passed on Twitter, Facebook, etc. I have had to request General Satbir personally that please make sure that you don't get the serving people involved. But having said that, if somebody thinks that the serving people and the retired people can be separated, it is not possible, because our military ethos and military values are such that the serving people, they look after the ex-servicemen. That is why all the commanders have ex-servicemen rallies around, and they try and look after whatever their problems are. You cannot ask them to don't talk to each other or don't take up. It is the job of the serving officers to take up these issues whenever there is a problem as far as the ex-servicemen are concerned.
So do you believe that Babus in the finance ministry are deliberately scuttling one rank, one pension to maintain their supposed superiority over army officials when it comes to the hierarchy, when it comes to pay and perks? They want to stay one step ahead, one step above the army officers, and therefore they're not wanting one rank, one pension to go through?
Look, you know, when you talk to them personally, I mean, they won't say things like this. But let's face it, that the army works not under the bureaucracy, it works under the political leadership. If there are some people who are creating obstacles, who are wanting this thing not to happen, I think it is time that the political leadership overruled them. So I'm not trying to point fingers at a particular community. They are also a part, they are also one institution of the whole setup of the government. But if there is a problem, if one institution is creating problem, I think it is the job of the political leadership to see through that and then take the corrective measures.
Now, those are very sensible words coming from one of Indian Army's most respected former chiefs, saying that the government is committed to the 2014 formulation. Now, at the last moment, any volte-face will simply not be accepted. He also explained why he backed out and how it's very dangerous to even imagine the possibility of serming army officials and jawans getting caught up in the one rank, one pension agitation. We've now got breaking news coming in that days ahead of Prime Minister's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval meeting with his Pakistani counterpart Sartaj Aziz, India has prepared a new dossier on Dawood Ibrahim. There are 4 new addresses in addition to 3 previous addresses which India has got hold of, and this is part of the dossier that the NSA will be submitting to his Pakistani counterpart. For more on this, I'm joined by my colleague Abhishek Bhalla. Abhishek, I see you've been able to pull out specific addresses about where Dawood Ibrahim's safe houses are. What does India intend to do with this information?
Well, the most startling out of the new addresses that we have is one of them is an ISI safe house 20 kilometers outside Islamabad. India is hoping that they can take up this issue at the NSA level talks. In fact, other than this dossier, there is information that India is going to pass on to India about Hafiz Saeed as well as Zakir Rahman Lakhvi. What we are arguing is that all these 3 gentlemen are actually on the United Nations Security Council sanction list, and that's why Pakistan, being a member of the United Nations, is under obligation to act against these people, and that's what India will be pressing for.
Okay, and how certain are we? Because this is something that's been handed over to Pakistan in the past. You saw Gaurav's report earlier about escalation of hostilities along the line of control. How certain are we of a positive response? Our officials who are prepping for the NSA level talks resigned to these talks failing?
Well, to be very candid, senior officials who I've spoken to, they are not very hopeful of any positive things coming out of it. They believe that, India has already given a lot of information over the years, be it 2611, be it Dawood, but Pakistan is still in denial, and that's the big challenge for us. Can we ensure that Pakistan acts now?
All right, thank you very much, Abhishek Bhalla, for joining us with that report. Pakistan hasn't acted yet. There's absolutely no reason to believe that they will change tack now. Let's shift our attention to Bihar, where the Prime Minister went on a government function, but he launched into a political attack on the JDU government in Bihar, hitting out at Nitish Kumar for not being able to pull Bihar out of the recess. He promised, though, a 1,65,000 crore rupee package for the state. The JDU and the RJD did a joint press conference in which they said the Prime Minister shouldn't try and portray it as if he's done Bihar a great favor. They said this package is Bihar's right. Package politics was the focus in battlefield Bihar all through the day today.
एहन पुण्य भूमि मिथिला ने आबी हम गदगद छी.
Prime Minister wooing the crowds of Bihar in Maithili during his 3rd visit to the state within a month.
बेरी बेरी प्रणाम करे छी.
The highlight, of course, was the announcement of a whooping 1.25 lakh crore package for Bihar. A massive pre-poll bonanza that even Nitish Kumar and Lalu had failed to anticipate.
दिल्ली सरकार 1.25 लाख करोड़ रुपए का पैकेज, 1.25 लाख करोड़ के अतिरिक्त 1.25 लाख करोड़ के उपरांत ये 40,000 करोड़ रुपया भी बिहार के विकास के लिए जोड़ा जाएगा.
But with the announcement of SOPs comes the jibe at Nitish as well, who paid Modi back in the same coin.
एक तरफ तो कहते हैं हम बीमारू नहीं हैं, दूसरी तरफ कहते हैं हमें ये दो, हमें वो दो.
बीमारू शब्द पर मुझे आपत्ति है, ये उन्होंने कहा, और ये तथ्य है कि बिहार बीमारू राज्य से बाहर हो चुका है.
The Bihar Chief Minister wasn't the only one to slam Modi. A direct attack on the Prime Minister was launched by Rahul Gandhi from his constituency Amethi.
एक तरफ कहते हैं आर्मी वालों से कहते हैं भैया पैसा नहीं है,
दूसरी तरफ बिहार में लाख करोड़ रुपए दे रहे हैं, 1.5 लाख करोड़ रुपए। इधर आर्मी भूख हड़ताल पे, इधर 15 लाख का कोई दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है, उधर एक नया वायदा।
Modi's jibe at the Lalu-Nitish alliance also stirred up an ugly political storm.
किसी की दया नहीं, हम खुद अपने पुरुषार्थ से बिहार बनाना चाहते हैं।
नौजवानों ने उछल उछल कर मोदी 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 वोट लेकर चले गए, ठेंगा दिखा दिया।
Announcement of special package is the biggest trump card that Modi has played in these elections. Till now, BJP attacked both Nitish and Lalu only over the issue of Jungle Raj. But from here on, the Saffron Party will try percolate this message amongst the voters of Bihar that the state's development can take place only if there is a BJP government both at the center and at the state. With camera person Deepak Kumar, this is Rohit Singh in Saharsa for India Today.